The New York Times today reporting that if the Republicans do take over the House, at least 8 congressional committees are due to be chaired by members of Congress who voted to not certify the election results, who voted to overturn the election results and keep Trump in power despite the vote. These are all members of Congress who took that vote after the Capitol attack on January 6th. They'll be running 8 of the most important committees in the U.S. Congress. And also, this is the Supreme Court term, just started today, in which the new conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court has gone out of their way to put a case before themselves on something called the independent state legislature doctrine, which is a thing that I swear to you is well and truly boring. The more you read about it, the more soporific you will feel. I mean, it's just boring, particularly if you're not a lawyer. However, what the independent state legislature doctrine could do, what this case could do now that these Supreme Court justices have asked to hear a case about it, is it effectively could give Republicans in state legislatures the power to do what Trump demanded that they do in 2020. It could give Republican-controlled state legislatures the power to decide what the election results will be from that state, regardless of how the people of that state voted, which is what Trump demanded of Republican state legislators after 2020. The Supreme Court case that's before the court for this term could potentially legalize the illegal, unconstitutional scheme that Trump was demanding of Republicans who supported him, to hand him the electors from states that he, in fact, lost. So this is quite a moment, right? I mean, at a time when we've got the biggest sedition trial in 80 years underway in Washington. I'm doing a podcast about the last sedition threat like this from the late 30s and the early 40s in order to find the closest precedent to what we're facing today. Right? While that is happening in Washington as of today, we're not just closing in on an election where people who deny that we should have real election results anymore are trying to take over. We're also today starting a new Supreme Court session with a court that has never had a lower level of respect from the American people in the entire time that pollsters have been asking the American people about their level of respect for the court. With the new conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court, they are reaching way out this term, way out of their way, to take cases that are expected to serve as a vehicle for them to let state legislatures change election results, to get rid of affirmative action programs in education, to get rid of anti-discrimination civil rights laws that protect gay people, and to once and for all get rid of the crown jewel achievement of the United States civil rights movement, which, of course, is the Voting Rights Act. Conservatives on the court already took away the heart of the Voting Rights Act in 2013. Now, with the case they're going to hear tomorrow, they could pave the way to hollow out all the rest of it, too. That case they're going to hear tomorrow is a case out of Alabama. Alabama has a population that's more than a quarter African American. But the Republicans who control the Alabama state legislature want only one of the state's congressional districts to have a majority black electorate. Under the Voting Rights Act, even a very conservative court with 2 Trump-appointed judges told Alabama that they couldn't do that. That's an illegal infringement on the voting rights of black voters. You can't have more than a quarter of your population be African American and then have 6 of your 7 congressional seats be in majority white districts. The Voting Rights Act, even hollowed out as it is, prevents them from doing something that extreme. That's the court ruling that is controlling in that case right now. But the Supreme Court has nevertheless chosen to wade in, with the expectation being that they're going to tell Alabama and the rest of the country to go ahead, do what you want. There's no need to worry about that pesky Voting Rights Act anymore. And if you think that is too radical a thing to imagine them doing, I mean, this is the court that just overruled Roe versus Wade, right? A recent Gallup poll shows that the American people say their trust in the court has dropped 20 points just since 2020, just in the past 2 years. Another poll, similar poll from Marquette Law School, shows it's dropped 26 points in the past 2 years. If the perception of the court keeps dropping like that, you might think the court would start to get worried that Americans soon just won't respect the court enough to follow its rulings anymore, which, of course, would be a disaster for the country. That would literally be the end of the rule of law in a very fundamental way. But if there's one thing we can be sure of, it is that we are playing with the fundamentals in lots of ways these days. pushing ourselves right up to the edge and occasionally over it. And we all know enough history to know that we have pushed ourselves far, very far in the past as well. But these fights to hold on to our constitutional republic, they don't win themselves. The Constitution isn't a self-healing document. Prosecutions for this kind of stuff, even when they happen, they are hard to win, and they are not the end-all be-all for accountability. Whether you are volunteering for a candidate who's running this year, or maybe you're running for office yourself, or you're volunteering as a poll worker, or you're door knocking for the latest good government, pro-democracy initiative that's on the ballot where you live, whatever you are doing right now, particularly over these next 6 weeks, you are part of what will decide what happens next in our country. The outcome is not at all certain at this point. We are in the middle of all of it. And good luck to us all.